Hello, my name is Frances Rogers, and I'm the Member Services Manager for Retirement Planning and Audits. Today, I'll guide you through the retirement preparation process and help you understand how your benefits are calculated. Let's get started. If you're contemplating retirement, the first thing that we're going to ask you to do is to complete a pre-retirement information verification form. This form is also known as a PIV and can be located on MyTRS. The PIV allows us to start collecting information from you at the beginning of your retirement process. Please remember the PIV doesn't lock you into retirement and is needed before a consultation. This form is going to ask you for some very basic information like your name, your mailing address, and your social security number. It's also going to ask you to provide us with proof of birth, and if you're considering one of the retirement options that allows you to provide for a joint annuitant, we're going to need a copy of their proof of birth as well. You may use a copy of your passport, your driver's license, state or government issued certificate of birth, or any state or federal issued photo ID that includes your birth date. If you are married and considering one of the joint annuitant retirement options, we will also need a copy of your marriage license. You will see the final bullet point says 120 days of unused sick leave days verification required. As many of you probably already know, when you're retired, if you have 120 unused sick leave days, it's going to equate to 1 additional year of service credit. The PIV must be received in office 90 days before your requested retirement date. If not received timely, it will result in a later retirement date. Once the PIV is received, TRS conducts a very thorough audit of your account. We review each year of credited service, contributions, and the connected salary that has been reported by your employer. This is to check for any irregularities or missing information. If there are any discrepancies or deficiencies, we encourage you to review your salaries and service credit yearly in MyTRS to ensure you agree with the information your employer is reporting. Our goal is to identify any issues as early in the process as possible and address them promptly to avoid delays and ensure a smooth transition to retirement. If you are not eligible to retire or will not be eligible within the next 12 months, we prepare a retirement projection. This is a great planning tool because it tells you the first date you're eligible to retire, even if it's early retirement. You can always use MyTRS to get a retirement benefit estimate without submitting a PIV and receive the same information. So you will see on this example, the member is eligible to retire July 1st, 2028 with a reduced benefit of $1,084.80 per month. You will also see that if this member continues to work until the age 62, they will retire with unreduced benefits with a 100% benefit of $2,389.44 per month. So this projection is a great planning tool because again, it tells you the earliest year that you're eligible to retire, and it also tells you what your monthly benefit is going to be if you can continue to work for an additional 9 years. If you are eligible to retire or will be within the next 12 months, we will prepare an application to retire. The application to retire also provides you with a lot of great information. It tells you how many years of service credit we have on record for you, including how many years you have under Tier 1, which represents capped service credit accumulated prior to 7/1/1995, and Tier 2 represents uncapped service that occurred after this date. This form will also tell you what your current balance is in your member account and includes the drawdown for each option. Best of all, it tells you what your lifetime monthly benefit payment is going to be for each of the retirement options that you qualify for, including the partial lump sum option if you have 30 years or more of service credit. These numbers represent taking 12, 24, or 36 months of your benefit up front. In exchange, your benefit will be reduced. Now, if you're ready to proceed with the retirement process, we're going to ask you to review the application to retire very carefully. Decide which retirement plan works best for you. Sign it and date it, as it must be in our office no later than 60 days prior to your effective retirement date. Now, you may consider scheduling a consultation with one of our retirement analysts. You may do so in person, virtually via Teams or Zoom, or you may still schedule a phone consultation. However, it is optional. When we received your signed application to retire, the next thing we do is send you a final contract for retirement. This contract is specific to the retirement option that you have selected. Now, your retirement contract must be signed, dated, and notarized, and it must be in our office at least 30 days prior to your effective retirement date. This is what the retirement timelines look like if you're contemplating a June 1st retirement date. Your PIV and all supporting documentation must be in our offices by March 1st. Your signed application to retire must be in our offices by April 1st, and your executed contract must be in our office by May 1st. This makes your effective retirement date June 1st, and you will receive your first retirement benefit payment on July 1st. Missing any deadlines will result in a delay of your retirement. Well, the basic retirement formula is really quite simple. It's your years of service times your final average salary times 2%. So as you can imagine, your final average salary is a very important component of this retirement benefit calculation. We determine your final average salary by looking at which retirement rule of eligibility you fall under. So for our members who fall under the Rule of 80, we determine your final average salary by taking the average of the highest 3 salaries you earned during your career, wherever they may occur. For our members who fall under the Rule of 90 or the Rule of 90 minimum age 60, we determine your final average salary by taking the average of the highest 5 consecutive salaries you earned during your career. Here's an example of what the retirement benefit calculation looks like for our members who have service credit on or after July 1st of 1995. In other words, if you started participating in teachers' retirement after July 1st, 1995, this is what the basic retirement formula looks like. This example, we are assuming the member has 30 years of service and a final average salary of $60,000. So we take the $60,000 and multiply times 2%, and that gives us $1,200. We take the $1,200 and multiply it by 30 for 30 years of service, and we arrive at an annual benefit of $36,000. We divide this by 12 to arrive at your monthly benefit payment of $3,000. Now, for our members who have service credit prior to July 1, 1995, you will have a slightly different benefit calculation because prior to July 1, 1995, we had salary caps in place. Your contributions might have been smaller because you were capped at either a minimum of $25,000 or the maximum of $40,000 a year. Because of those salary caps in place, this resulted in a 2-tier benefit calculation. By working beyond normal retirement eligibility, eligible members may convert capped years of service to uncapped years of service through the Education Employees Service Incentive Plan, or ESEP, aka the Wear-Away Plan, if they meet the requirements. Please note, 4-year higher education employees do not qualify, and those members who do qualify and had a $25,000 cap may have an additional cost to participate. This can enhance your monthly retirement benefit. Now I'm going to go over your member service statement. In the first column, you're going to see the year in which your service was performed. In this example, you'll see fiscal year 1993, which is the fall of 1992 and spring of 1993. The second column is the contributory salary based on the contributions and information provided by your employer. In this example, it shows a $21,507.83 salary for fiscal year 1993. The third column is the credit column. This is the service credit that you received based on the full-time equivalent for the position and the salary received. In this example, the member received 1 year of service credit in fiscal year 1993. The next column you see represents the service tier in which the service was completed. As you can see in this example, fiscal year 1993 is capped at the $40,000 level. Finally, at the bottom of your member service statement, you'll see your service tiers. After July 1 of 1995, you're going to see your uncapped years. In this example, the member has a total of 18 years of uncapped service credit and a final average salary of $59,924.05. Above that, you'll see all salaries earned prior to July 1 of 1995 labeled pre-95. They are either capped at the $40,000 or $25,000 level. This member is at the maximum level of $40,000 and has 10 years of service pre-1995. If your statement shows you are capped at $25,000 pre-95, you may want to contact our offices to see if you are eligible to pay out of the lower tier of $25,000. We can review your file and send out a billing if you qualify. Service credit is based on the fiscal year that the service is performed. Prior to July 1 of 2013, 1 year of service credit was received for 6 months of contributory service or 120 days of full-time service days worked in a fiscal year. Fractional service was only used if it could be combined into whole years. On or after July 1, 2013, all fractional years of service are used in the retirement calculation. Purchase service is based on actuarial cost and the value to you in retirement and does not change your membership date or the retirement plan you may fall under, such as Combination 80 or Combination 90. Do you have service credit you wish to purchase? You may purchase several types of service, such as substitute service, if you have 120 days of full-time substitute days in one school year, adjunct service in higher ed if you have 18 or more credit hours, military service, out-of-state, or prior Oklahoma service can all be purchased at an actuarial cost if eligible with verification. Forms for verification can be found on our website. The last type of service purchase listed is a redeposit. This is an interest-based billing of withdrawn service contributions. You must have returned to active contributory status for 1 year and pay back all funds withdrawn at the current interest rate of 10%. Once completed, it will restore your service credit and membership date if applicable. All types of service that you're purchasing must be verified and purchased as an active contributing member at least 90 days prior to your retirement date. Let's talk about unused sick leave. 120 days of unused verified sick leave is the maximum number of days that will be used in calculating your years of service. This is equal to 1 year of service credit. Unused sick leave may be used to reach your Combination 80 or Combination 90. For example, if you're at 79 points and you need 1 year or 1 credit point to get to your rule of 80, 120 days of unused sick leave could be used for that extra point. When you're looking at your service statement, you will never see the 120 days listed on or 1 year for sick leave. It is only added at retirement through your estimate or your application to retire. It can also be put on your retirement projection if requested. Anything less than 120 days will result in a fractional year in the calculation for retirement and may add to another fractional year of service if applicable. Unused sick leave cannot be divided among multiple fractional years to make several complete years. Here I have listed some frequently asked questions. Where is my year of sick leave service credit? Since TRS does not receive funds for sick leave, your statement only reflects contributory service or purchase service. Where is my last fiscal year service credit? Service is credited after your employer submits the year-end report for the previous fiscal year. TRS receives this year-end report no later than November 1st. Finally, why is my pre-7/1/1995 service showing as capped, but I've already worn all of it through ESEP? The statement reflects your history of the service credit and salary at the point it was performed. Now this concludes my portion of the presentation. Hopefully I've answered a lot of questions you may have regarding beginning your retirement journey and the components that are used to calculate your retirement benefit. Thank you for taking time out of your day and joining us.